What you guys, today we're taking a look at how to say goodbye to expensive ink cartridges with the Epson EcoTank ET3850. Now they do many different models of these at different price ranges, but they all have ink tanks on them. And they're really good if you print a lot or you've got young kids that love using the printer. So we're going to take a look at it in this video. But first, let's have a quick word from today's sponsor, CD Key Sales. If you're looking for a cheap Windows 10 Pro OEM key, or you want to activate Windows, then check out CD Key Sales. The links are in the video description. Click on one of those and click on the buy now and use my promo code capital B capital R09 and apply this to your order. They will send you your key code and then basically go over to the activation center inside Windows to activate your version of Windows. It's that simple. So anyway, let's take a look at this actual printer here. You've probably heard the saying EcoTank, but what does it mean? Well, it just basically means we don't have to go and buy ink cartridges with a tiny little bit of ink in them. They offer these printers now with these huge amounts of ink in it, so you can just refill them. And it's that simple. You've got your user guide here and your warranty and your driver disc if you still use a CD-ROM. You can go to their website and download these as well. Now we also have a bunch of other colors here which we're going to use and install. They come in the kit as well, and we got the printer. So let me get this out and I'll show you what it's all about. So first thing to do is to make sure you remove all of the packaging and all of this tape. There's tape everywhere holding all of these little panels down. So make sure you do a thorough job of checking everywhere to remove all of the packaging. This way you're not going to break your printer when you go to turn it on. So now we've got all this removed, we need to give it some power so we can fill up this ink tank. Now these ink tanks should last you quite a long time before you have to refill them. In fact, if you're printing in black, it will print up to 14,000 pages. And if you're printing in color, it will print up to 5,200 pages. And the ink is not that expensive either. To refill this whole tank is only going to cost you £38, which should last a very long time before you have to keep refilling it. No more buying cartridges. And if you want to use, and the £38 is for Epson ink. Now, if you want to use some aftermarket ink, which they don't recommend, you can get that for as little as £20 to fill this up. So you can be printing to your heart's content all your photos, all your text documents, all your coursework and schoolwork. All that stuff can be printed out and not have to worry about ink. So what I'm going to do is get this set up. I'm going to open up the top here because we need to get the ink inside here. So let me just pop this up and we'll get this ink inside this printer so we can get it and print out some text documents and some color pictures to see what the quality looks like. Now, long gone are the days where you have to try and find a way to drill some holes in some cartridges to refill them with some ink that you've purchased, or you've found some cloned ink cartridges online where you're trying to get them to work with your printer and find out you've just been ripped off because they don't work or they stop working after a few days. All of these problems have gone away with these new EcoTank systems, and Epson have done a pretty good job with this printer. So what I'm going to do here is get it turned on, and it's going to do a few things to get things set up, and then we can then start to put the ink into the actual printer itself. It's pretty straightforward stuff. You just follow the on-screen display. Now, Epson are not the only ones that are doing ink tanks nowadays. You've got all of your normal brands like Canon and Lexmark and other types of brands that are doing these ink tanks. This is the way printers seem to have gone now. So long gone are the days where ink manufacturers can rip you off, overcharging you for ink and also giving you a small amount of ink in a big empty cartridge. That was very common in the old days. All you need to do is just choose the color which you want to put in on the actual on-screen display. And when it tells you to put in the BK, you will put the black version in, and then it will tell you to put in C and then M and then Y. And it's that simple. You just follow along. Don't squeeze the bottle or anything like that. Just let it drip into the actual containers, and it will go all the way through to the end, and you can then fill up the actual printer. Now, it's going to go through a few cycles to get things set up, and your ink will drop down a little bit, but don't worry about that because there's always a little bit left over, and you can top that up once it's finished its cycle. Now, once this is all done, what you're going to need to do is it's going to need to align the printer heads and things like that. So once we've done all this, it's going to print out a bunch of pages. So you will need some paper. And then once we get these printed out, we should be able to see whether the headlines need to be adjusted a little bit. But pretty much it was pretty good out of the box. So I'm just going to put some paper in and we're going to go through and start to print some pages out to see whether the printer heads need aligning anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put some paper in here. Now you can use photo paper on this as well as just general A4 office paper, depending on what you want to print out. But again, this is a photo printer and also a document printer. So if you want to print photos, you can with this, although there is better ones on the market if you want to do, just photo printing. But this should do a pretty good job at printing photos. So what I'm going to do is pull the paper tray out here. And what we're going to do is start to print out some test pages so we can test the printer heads to see if they're lined up okay. All you need to do is go online and follow their tutorial online, or you can look at the on-screen display and just do exactly what it tells you to do on there. It's going to come along and print out some documents, and then it will say, please choose which one you think looks best, and a bunch of other color squares will come along and you just choose which one looks best and you select OK, and pretty much that is it. You should have the printer all lined up and ready to print. You can see the lines here. It's asking us which one looks better, and you just go along and choose it on the screen. Now I'm going to print out this test page here on just standard office paper, not on photo paper. I haven't got any photo paper, but you can get these test pages on Epson's website. Once you print these out, you should get a good color reference of what your printer's going to look like. I printed out a few of these just to make sure everything is okay, and you can see here that the color match is pretty good, and this is just on standard A4 office paper from Tesco's. Now I'll tell you one thing, you certainly wouldn't have been printing out documents like this on this particular paper when we had ink cartridges, because this would be sucking up all of your ink, and you only had a small amount of ink in those ink cartridges and it will deplete that ink very, very quickly. So with this printer, I'm not too worried about it because the ink is not that expensive. So I'm going to do a quick copy of this document by putting it up the top here, and all we need to do is push the copy button and it will just copy this document and basically put it down the bottom here. I'll show you how this works. It works pretty easy and pretty cool. All you need to do is put the document facing upwards, and you can do both sides if you want to. I'm just going to do one side here, and once you've got this all set up, you just push this button here and it will just go ahead and drag this document down and print it out down the bottom. And the color match is pretty accurate. It looks exactly the same as the one it's just copied. Now the print speed on this is pretty good. You can see this in real time here. I'm just copying this document and it's printing it out. And the color copy is exactly an identical match. It looks pretty close. And again, as I've said before, you really shouldn't be printing on this sort of paper really, because it will suck up your ink a little bit. But I just wanted to do a couple of little tests with this particular document, and you can test this on Epson's website. They have this test page here which you can use for testing prints here. Now this little panel here will also adjust. You can pull this up and down if you wanted to. I'm not sure why I can't see the display here on my camera. Maybe my camera is interfering with it, but the color display is pretty good. I would have liked to seen a bigger display there for this sort of money, because this one was a pretty expensive version. But they do other versions which are more affordable, around about the £200 mark as well. So always look out for those cheap deals, especially on events like Black Friday and other ones like that. So I'm just going to quickly print this text document out here on Epson's website. I'm going to just use this text bit here. I'm going to print all of these out, but you can choose which page you want to print out just like you would normally do. And I'm just going to quickly print this text out and see how fast it prints. So I'll go ahead and hit print, and then we can head over to the printer and we'll see how fast it comes out. And that should now print that document out. Now, if you're looking for an inkjet printer that basically allows you to print whatever you like at super low cost, basically pennies, then the Epson EcoTank versions are pretty affordable. Now, I normally either buy Epson or Canon, but this time I went for the Epson. But I do think the Canons do a very good photo print on some of their printers. But just try to make sure you move away from those cartridge types of printers and try to get an EcoTank, because you'll thank me in the long run, because it saves you an absolute fortune in ink. So I'm just going to quickly copy something from the bed of the scan bed, and you can see here super quick printing here, and that just copied that document and printed it out. So that is the Epson ET3850. I'm pretty sure there's new ones out now, but this one has been sitting on my floor for some time, and I just thought I'd better quickly get it out and put it to some use, and this is why you're seeing this video today. And I thought I might as well record it and show you what an EcoTank printer looks like if you're looking on buying one this Christmas. Anyway, with that said, my name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to all my YouTube members. I appreciate the support, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.